Good morning, everyone, and welcome along to Vallelunga. It is round 6, the final rounds of the championship, the final races of both Europe, America, and Asia. Today, Thursday, the 16th of November, and it is fully maximizing circuit time here in Vallelunga because it is only 8:10 in the morning, and we are about to go racing with the AM and Lamborghini Cup. My name is Ben Colston-Juris. Welcome along to what is going to become over the weekend the 2023 World Finals. But the first job is to finish off our championships, and that is always done at the World Finals venue. So this is round 6, race 1, and tomorrow on Friday will be round 6, race 2. The drivers in Europe already know this track because they raced round 5 on Sunday, last Sunday. Both races on the same day, so they've got plenty of experience with testing before that, qualifying, and then of course coming into this week's action with more testing and qualifying. For AM and Lamborghini Cup drivers, that brings familiarity. It also sometimes brings a little bit of confidence. Confidence that sometimes boils over into mistakes, and we've already seen that in practice with a couple of our teams getting into trouble. Well, my name is Ben Colston-Juris, and we have pit reporters working for us today down on the grid. Let's head down there to find out what is going on with Dakota.
Hi Ben, good morning everybody, and we are sitting on a very, very cold grid. I'm here with Abraham, and Abraham, it's really cold as I mentioned this morning. What's going to be the difficulty of starting the race in this condition?
So obviously, like you said, the track is very cold, and I think the main difficulty is going to be trying to get the tires warm. So obviously for the formation lap, we're going to focus on getting the tires warm, and yeah, we're fighting for the championship, so full focus on every small detail, because this is all the difference.
I'll let you get focused. Good luck for the race. Thank you very much.
And that is the biggest talking point. We saw it last Sunday with the AM and LC Cup starting at around 9:30 in the morning. Well, we're an hour earlier and we are later into the year. It is just 5.5 degrees out there. Track temperature just 8.5. It doesn't have the humidity that we saw last Sunday for these guys in race 1, but just getting temperature into not just the tires, but everything else is going to be a real challenge. A quick look there at our pole position man. A man that if you follow Europe, you won't know, but if you follow America, then you will. Glenn McGee has our pole position. He is doing double bubble this weekend. He'll be racing in the European AM and LC Cup and also in the America well, the full race, because all 4 classes race at the same time. Roy Meerhouse and Ellie Dubelli joining us at, joining Boots and VDS for last race, and that qualifies them to race in the World Finals, and in a really good way of getting themselves into qualifying for that spectacular this weekend. Roy Meerhouse has been racing in GT4 and GT3 as well. Ellie Dubelli with a bit of a return back to racing. A patchy kind of, let's say, career over the last couple of years. There is the man we just spoke to, Ibrahim Badaway. On course to win both races, really, over the weekend of the 5th round, but got a penalty in the first of the races for contact with Alban Veruti, and they both spun at Curva Grande, which is a very fast right-hand turn, the first main corner of the lap, let's say. And because they spun, and because it was deemed Ibrahim's fault, he was dropped down to 6th position. It does mean that though, he still leads the championship coming into this round in the AM competition. And he's just half a point ahead of Gabriel Rindone. However, Rindone, as we're just waiting for the green flag, there we go. Rindone had an accident also in free practice and wrote off his chassis. Some of the areas around the circuit are quite narrow, and Rindone shunting at turn 10, which is the first of the hairpins in the stadium section, and that destroyed the chassis, but he's got a spare one that he is running today. So he's only a half a point off Badaway in the championship. Mathematically, Feligioni and Coupons could also get themselves into championship contention. Everybody else is, well, Dubelli actually isn't out, but he's 23.5 points behind. Right, the grid then. As I said, McGee and Mayhouse on the front row. Badaway and Julien Piget will start the 63. GT4 champion of Europe this year. Rindone and Ranzoni on 5th and 6th. Then Lewandowski and Feligioni in 8th position. Then we go down to the first of our Lamborghini Cup drivers. Linthut on the pole for that, ahead of Krebs. Then Wilfried Casabon and Kieron Lee on row 6. Row 7 will be Holger Harmsen and Goslin. I don't think we saw Goslin last weekend for Iron Links, but here now, Hernandez, Ortega and Butavicius on row 8. Then Dvoracek and Jason Keats down there on row 9. He'll be starting today with Oliver Fremut and Luciano Provicello. Also, as I said, in championship contention in LC Cup. Biglieri and Matic, 22nd only, didn't qualify. And that is because Peter Matic had a massive crash at turn 11, which is the tightest hairpin of the circuit. Ended up in the barriers. They've had to repair that chassis. But a lot of work to do for the championship leaders in Lamborghini Cup coming into this final round. Biglieri and Matic, Krebs, and then the Privatellios are the 3 cars that can win the championship in LC Cup. But mathematically, really, nothing's going to be done today. Race 1's today, race 2's tomorrow. For the LC Cup and AMS, which is this first race. And then the second race of the day will be the European Pro and Pro-Am. And then we'll go to Asia and America, which is all the classes together this afternoon. America first, and then Asia, the last race of our day. That's all the race 1's done. And then all the race 2's will be done on Friday. Qualifying already done yesterday. So 4 races today, 4 races on Friday, and then we move into World Finals where we'll have split grids, AM and LC Cup on Saturday, race 1's, on Sunday, race 2's, with the Pro and Pro-Ams also running as well. That's in the afternoons of both days. Right, so you'll notice that the clock has started to run, and we are in racing conditions but behind the safety car. This is something we saw last weekend to try and generate more temperature into the cars and give the drivers a little bit more opportunity for confidence. So they do their 1 warm-up lap. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Then they'll come round to the grid after this second warm-up lap, and they will then go racing. But we have started the clock already. So this is kind of 1 safety car lap in green flag conditions before then a race start. Now, just to explain what is going on with our pole position, guys, Glenn McGee and Anthony McIntosh on the pole position here. They are also leading AM in the USA. And to give themselves a little bit more opportunity for familiarization with the circuit, because of course the European Championship raced here on Sunday as well, whereas the Americans and Asians didn't, they have chosen to both enter the America races, of which they are about to win the championship and could actually win the championship today, and also race here. And Glenn McGee on the pole position in that mainly white car with the little green nostrils. Roy Mehrhouse sharing with Elie Dubelli. Mehrhouse very, very strong. As I say, racing in GT3 as well as being a champion in GT4 last year. Rolling start, remember. Not too bunched at the moment. Quite a high pace from Glenn McKee. And off we go. And Ibrahim Radaway kind of stuck. He looked like he got a very good start, but he didn't really have any space to make it work. McGee has dropped down to third position as they come through Curva Grande for the first time. And it's all about confidence now on this first lap. How good is the car underneath you? Around the outside comes Julien Piget. He really has been so very strong in this first weekend, really, for him in Lamborghinis. And Piget then takes the lead of the race ahead of Meyerhouse. Down to third is McGee, then Badaway is dropping further down, actually. It's not Badaway in fourth position. He's lost a position to Gabriel Rindone. Rindone in a black car, new car, after writing the other car off in practice. So we're going to have to get used to championship contender, championship leader coming into last round. Anyway, up half a point back now. Rindone in black, in fourth position. So that's Piget in black. Meyerhouse in the boots and colours. In the white is McGee, then Rindone, then Badaway. And then we have Lewandowski, and in the five car there, that's son of two-time champion Adrian. Sorry, that is son Adrian, two-time champion, son of two-time champion Andre. I need to wake up this morning. Everyone's safely through then as we come to the end of the lap. Making an advantage now when you have the confidence. Before everything is fully up to temperature, can be really crucial if there's no safety cars, of course. If there's a safety cars, then you bunch them all back up again. New gearbox going into Lewandowski's car last night when I left the circuit. That was after the qualifying session. And Randazzo looking around about, trying to get past, had a really good run in round 5, did himself and Giovanni and Napoli. Hardly any points to their name coming into the weekend. And they got a victory and a third position in round 5 on Sunday. That vaulted them up to 8th position in the championship. And once again, sitting pretty. Looking down there at Butavicius, the Lithuanian driver trying to find a way past Hernandez Ortega from Mexico. Even though this is the European Championship, still plenty of interesting and different countries entered and running in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. It really does broaden the motorsport horizons for so many countries that you wouldn't necessarily see represented in most other motorsports. It really is fantastic to see. Roy Meyerhouse, for instance, part Israeli and part American, racing under an American license and giving hassle to Frenchman Julien Piget, who is this year raced at the Le Mans 24 Hours, the Nürburgring 24 Hours, and the Spa 24 Hours, as well as the GT4 French Championship, for which he's champion, and also in Europe as well. And I think he's done some Michelin Cup. Basically, he's raced every weekend that he possibly can. He owns his own stunt driving company as well, which do launch events for various brands, and has been known to perform various stunts for Top Gear France and also for the Grand Tour. But here, Julien Piget leading, partnering with Alban Veruti. Now, don't think that when some of these guys hand over their cars to others, the performance will drop off. For sure, Meyerhouse stronger than Dubelli, and we saw Dubelli in leading the race, race 2 of round 5. Dubelli made a mistake under pressure and threw away what could have been a victory for that 18 car. Meyerhouse, second position now. But it looks as though, it feels as though McGee may start to reel them in. Glenn McGee then a sim racer turned real racer, iRacing world champion, and partnered with Anthony McIntosh this year, both coming out of the Mazda MX-5 Cup, which is a very successful formula that supports the IMSA racing series over in America. And they've been very strong in AM in America this last year. And now sits third position, looking way back in the field here. A little bit of a dive bomb from Linthut, and that was on Krebs. So this is the battle for Lamborghini Cup. Jürgen Krebs with a double victory. I think he got a double victory at the weekend. But there's a bit of a queue behind him, isn't there? Casabon is also there, as is Kieran Lee, the fourth of the cars, in the double eight. But Kenneth Linthut having his debut weekend here in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo at the weekend in Vallelunga, so has now experience of both car and circuit, and is starting to build confidence to hassle Jürgen Krebs. Krebs up to second in that championship, ahead of the Privatellios, with, as I say, Biglieri and Matic not only leading the championship, but I think they're also in the pits. Ollie Freimut off the circuit as well from the back of the pack. So 24 gets going again. And that was down at turn 5, so that's Chimney 2. And 32 has also been off the circuit at turn 7. But timing screen suggesting that that car is not out on circuit at all. So that is our championship leader in Lamborghini Cup by 7 points over Krebs and then Privatellios. But after that crash in practice, it is not necessarily looking that great for them. They have a repaired car rather than a new car because the team didn't have, or they had a spare car. They brought a spare car here, but then gave it to an American team, Bonaldi. So they've had to repair the car that Biglieri and Matic use, and maybe the repair isn't quite to their liking, let's say. There is, at the tail of the field, Ollie Freimut back up and running again. And actually, looks like he might be could be getting in the way here of our leaders, as I noticed that number 17, Serge Doms, has also come into the pits. So a few of our Lamborghini Cup cars in strife at the back of the field. Great battle for Lamborghini Cup at the head of the field, Krebs and Linthut. Now, Krebs will be, I wonder if the team will tell them that for the championship anyway, there is not much to worry about because the biggest rivals are going to score no points, Biglieri and Matic. Krebs, therefore, needs to finish. Privatellios are down in 19th right now. It's Luciano at the wheel. You can expect Donovan to do a better job. And we saw amazing progress from Donovan when he jumped in. Sorry, it is Donovan in the car now, and it will be Luciano later. Oh, big moment there for Julien Piget. Just had to readjust his line to get past the slower car. And now it is very much 3 for the lead. This is the battle for fourth position, Rindone and Badaway, and those two are our championship leaders with just half a point between them. Lewandowski gets past, as does Randazzo behind. But those two there in shot, Badaway leads the championship by half a point over Rindone. That is in the AM category. Piquet, Meyerhouse and McGee, the front three, not championship contenders. So there's quite an interesting dynamic here. We've got three cars at the head of the field. There they are. And none of them are in championship contention. Second weekend for Piquet, second weekend for Meyerhouse, and first weekend in AM, anyway, for McGee. All running pretty well, though, together. McGee just dropping off the back just a little bit, and then he gets brought back into it. Low sun as well. That's another thing to contend with this morning. We're worrying about the temperature of the track and the air, but what about the sun blinding you as it starts to rise here over the countryside that is just 30 kilometers north of Rome. And we are very much in the Campagne. Big lakes around the area as well, so that's why we've got that kind of mist that you saw from our drone shot at the opening. We are slightly on a hill here, and thankfully, because we can actually go racing. If we were not on a hill, as gravel pours out of Biglieri's car, so they have had it off. And that is for me, that's also a puncture. Yeah, it is a puncture on the rear left. Well, actually, from that shot, it doesn't look like it, and that is when it's being loaded. So maybe it's got soft. But either way, that car is no longer on circuit. Well, certainly has been in the gravel. Whether that was cause or effect to the problem that has retired them out of the race, I don't know. But they're out, and they're scoring no points. And they're the only one, actually, that is retired, because both Ollie Freimut and Serge Doms are back out on circuit again, having visited the pits. Remember, pit window needs to be obeyed to change from one driver to the other. That's coming up in about 5 minutes' time. And then it's open for 10 minutes. For those drivers that have a second driver, teammate, Piquet, Meyerhouse and McGee, the top three, they have a 90-second pit stop to do. Now, Badouet and Rindone, fourth and fifth, are both single entry. They do the whole race themselves, and therefore they have a 93-second pit stop. And that will drop them potentially behind the number 5 car of Adrian Landowski and Gregor Moschlitz. Because it is quite close, isn't it? Just a second covering our top three. Then it's 3 seconds back to Badouet and Rindone. And Lewandowski's 5 seconds back, with Randazzo in 7th. He'll hand over to Anopoli. And Feligioni actually is a bit further back in 8th position. So Feligioni and Coupens will probably still be behind Badouet and Rindone. But interestingly, of those three, Coupens will be the fastest of those three, and he will potentially be closing down Rindone and Badouet. As Badouet does the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, a 34.2. And you can see that he now is starting to close in on this front three. Interestingly, though, no big moves, no big attempts at overtaking. We saw some pretty spectacular overtakes over the weekend. Certainly here is a place where you can dive down the inside. McGee thinks about it. So very, very tight, that corner. Known as Tornatino. Part of the original 1951 layout this circuit was designed. The last part of the lap hasn't changed whatsoever, apart from new tarmac and slightly widening. But the circuit went the other direction for the first 20 years of its life. Only in 1970 did we start going this way. And now the helmets start to get put on. don't think that's Biglieri because that car is out. So I'm going to say that that's not the 32 guy. Of all of the drivers to caption, he's the only one that's retired. So it was very unlucky to get that one wrong. By the way, another fastest lap, 34.1. 21 cars still in the race, just a single car out. There's contact being noted between Serge Doms and Olivier Frémut. So maybe the reason why Frémut was facing the wrong direction was due to contact. But what a race we've got at the front of the field here. Piquet, Roy Mehrhouse, Glenn Magee and Ibrahim Badaway. Badaway will stay in the car. Magee will hand over to Anthony McIntosh. Roy Mehrhouse will hand over to Elie Dubelli. And Julien Piquet will hand over to Alban Baruti. Now, of those drivers, I don't know about McIntosh and McGee. I mean, I think the only one that might pit early there is Badway, because he's at the back of that pack. He's not handing over to another driver. And ultimately, the guys ahead are the faster drivers, so I think they will be looking to get, potentially put the slower driver in afterwards. Right, there is Krebs. And now Krebs has got a car between himself and Lintut. So Jürgen Krebs comfortable in the lead in Lamborghini Cup. Got Will Casabon now behind him. He's going to hand over Will Casabon to Nigel Bay, who is the paraplegic Frenchman that is just so remarkable. Will Casabon just about held on there. I was about to say that perhaps Nigel was not going to get a chance to sit in that car as Casabon nearly throws it in the kitty litter. Well caught, sir. Thinking about diving down the inside was Roy Mehrhouse there. Piquet was aware of it. We saw Piquet being absolutely mugged at that corner yesterday, on Sunday. Left the door wide open for somebody to dive down the inside. And Piquet comes in from the lead of the race. I'm surprised by that. Ibrahim Badaway comes in behind and closes massively as they attack the pit in. I'm surprised Piquet from the lead of the race has chosen to release the two cars behind, because Mehrhouse now and McGee have cleared track. Last lap was a 35.1. I'm interested to see how much quicker Roy Mehrhouse can go now. But at the first opportunity, Julien Piquet comes in and hands over to Alban Baruti. And it's Baruti, I would say Piquet's the faster of these two. Even though Alban Baruti has done an exceptional job in winning the GT4 AM Championship. Now, no rush in these pit stops. Don't forget that they are timed at 90 seconds. It's 90 seconds pit in to pit out. So the teams need to work out exactly how long it takes to get from pit into their box and then from their box to pit out, and then they have an opportunity to play with that timing. Change for the lead of the race. McGee down the inside of Roy Mehrhouse into the S's. He hasn't read the script about overtaking at this circuit, has he? You don't do it there, but he had it kind of already done. And McGee now gets ahead of Roy Mehrhouse. That is the class of Glenn McGee. Roy Mehrhouse I would consider as a silver in FIA grading rather than an AM or a bronze for this championship. More like a Pro-Am combination is Mehrhouse and Dubelli. And McGee showing his heels. McGee, a 34.7. He goes 0.4 of a second faster than they were doing that lap previously. Interestingly, Mehrhouse doesn't go any faster, and here's where it was done. God, there wasn't a lot of space, was there? I think Meyehouse would have thought he'd covered that one off. Look at that. Thankfully, Meyehouse was driving with his mirrors, because otherwise I could see quite easily the nose being chopped off Glenn McGee. And that was confidence from the American. So we've actually got two Americans at the head of our field. McGee from Texas. Actually, no, that's a lie. There's a doctor from Texas called Glenn McGee. It is not he. So, Alban Veruti out on circuit, the 63 car. Now, a 1 minute 30 pit stop, because we're running at 134 laps, basically means you completely lose a lap. And Veruti and Badaway have clear track and actually are just ahead of these two. As Krebs now comes into the pits. Swiss-German driver heads back out onto circuit now. He'll be looking to try and have clear track when he gets back out onto circuit. About half our field have taken advantage of pitting. And Jürgen Krebs' team are going to be looking heavily at the Lamborghini Cup competitors such as the Privatellios in the number 22. What kind of progress is going to be made from Luciano? Interestingly, Donovan's still out there at the moment, as McGee now registers the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. A 34.1. He's gone almost a second faster than that group were doing pre-pit stops. As I said, clear track for Veruti, clear track for Badaway as well. They are just ahead of these two. But Roy Meyehouse is struggling with the pace of our guest Americans here. And that bodes very interestingly for when we get to World Finals weekend, because these guys have now had the opportunity to size up their AM competition. And perhaps you would have said going into World Finals weekend that the strongest AMs would come from Europe. Well, hang on a second. Now we know that McGee and McIntosh are going to be forces to be reckoned with. And now they know how some of these AM drivers race as Rindone comes into the pits. Half a point behind Badaway in the championship. Remember, there's two on the same bit of tarmac pre-pit stops. So let's see where the 21 car comes out post-pit stop in relation to the pace, there he is, of Badaway and Veruti. Badaway and Veruti are doing 34s as well, so actually are comparable. Piget was obviously struggling at the end of his stint, but their pace is comparable to the guys at the head of the field. Different cars, I believe, will be raced by McGee and McIntosh in America to in Europe. I need to get that confirmed, but they're certainly entered differently. On the entry list for Europe, it's Imperial running that car. Roy Meyehouse comes into the pits with a lap to spare. McGee carries on. Rindone exiting the pits. The number 21 is back out on circuit, and he's behind Veruti, but I think Rindone is ahead of... No, he's behind Badaway. There's actually bigger gaps being established between Veruti. Badaway had a slow lap that last time, and Rindone only just ahead of Glenn McGee, actually. So maybe being given the blue flags. Elie Dubelli will be getting into this car as Roy Meyehouse jumps out. Quite a big difference in terms of driver profile, and therefore quite a bit of adjustment to be done to the seat for Eli Dubelli to be comfortable. See how high he is sitting in the car. And Roy Mehrhouse, jockey-sized racing driver. So, we're following this car because effectively, pre-pit stops, this car was the leader of the race. There is Glenn McGee. That car will probably come into the pits this next lap, but as you can see, he got stuck behind Gabriel Rindone on this last lap, so that isn't going to be very good. Indeed, into the pits they come, but where is the 18 car come out of the pits? Just now leaving the pits, Eli Dubelli. But the question for me is where? I think Eli Dubelli is going to be very close to Alban Veruti post pit stop. Coming down to turn 7 by the looks of things, as McGee comes in to change drivers with McIntosh. McIntosh jumping aboard. Interesting that McIntosh is a Red Bull helmeted driver. It's not easy to be recognised by Red Bull across the world. Helmets are allowed for national organisations. So effectively, Red Bull America can decide to sponsor Anthony McIntosh if they choose. There is the 18 car, now with Eli Dubelli aboard, but where is he in relation to the other cars around him? There's, I think that might be Badway ahead. So Badway has managed to jump the 18, even though Badway is caught in traffic a little bit. And now, of course, it will be where the American 85 car comes out in relation to these two. Exiting the pits right now, will have a little bit of warming up to do. On the left-hand side, there he is. So Badaway's gone through, so is the 18 car. Rindone behind. And does that then mean that Badaway has moved up to the lead of the race? I think it might do. They've got the check run car right in the middle of the road here, really causing a problem. And is that the number 5 car in there as well? Yeah, I think it is. So they've had a great pit stop. Gregor Moluch taking over from Adrian Lewandowski, and he's jumped ahead of the car that was with Randazzo, now should be Anapoli. And Rindone dropping behind them. So Gabriel Rindone with a lot of work to do. Coupens is behind them. And so the only one that we haven't really accounted for here is the 63 of Veruti. And I think the 63 of Veruti is ahead of all of them. Down the inside, Rindone goes on Anapoli. Now he needs to try and get a move on because he was with Badaway pre-pit stops. But Rindone's dropped back in their championship fight. We'll have the order completely established when they come over the line this time. 85 and 63 for the lead of the race are together. 0.3 of a second between McIntosh and Veruti. I hadn't taken into consideration Veruti's car, but battle resumes between those two. Then there's a 5.6 second gap to Badaway. Dubelli dropping to 4th. Mehrhouse, that must have been a slow pit stop then, because Mehrhouse was well up there. And here is that battle for the lead. McIntosh. First couple of laps for us to see Anthony McIntosh out on circuit. Alban Veruti to the left, to his right. Veruti's raced here this last weekend in round 5 of the championship. May well have even raced here. There was supposed to be a 6-hour race for GT4 cars here in Vallelunga just a few weeks ago. Maybe not doing that in the end. But, McIntosh already on the defensive. That doesn't bode well, and it definitely will help Badaway in third position. There's more these two scrap, the more these two defend and put themselves on the wrong racing line, the less efficient they are around the circuit, and the more likely is that Badaway will catch. He's gone from 5.4 down to 4.7 on that last sector alone because McIntosh was so defensive going into Torrentino. And Alban Veruti absolutely on the pace straight away. 35.9 from McIntosh on that last lap. He's not there yet, is he? Veruti sees a little bit of space down the inside. McIntosh is just about still ahead, but there is an overlap between the two, and the corner, next corner goes right in Campagnano, so I think there might be an opportunity here. There's just about enough space for Veruti to go through. Veruti takes the lead. It was about 3 corners in the doing, but that's important because the pace is so slow between them. And Badaway had closed in a second just on that second sector of the lap alone. It'll be closer again because the two of them are still scrapping. But look at that already, setting off into the distance is Veruti. Badaway with 3 wins to his name. Still so very, very young, still a teenager. Ibrahim Badaway had an opportunity, had a choice to go into F4, single-seaters, or this, and he chose to go this way. Alban Veruti, let's look at the intimidation from Anthony McIntosh. That's very much like you see from the Mazda MX-5 races over in America. But there's a lot of racecraft needed to win one of those races, such as the low power of those cars. These cars, however, lots of power. More power than a GT3 car, actually. 630 brake horsepower. Off the top of my head. Well, I'll tell you what, that last lap from McIntosh, really, really slow. And Napoli and Mozorski also very slow on that last lap. They must have been fighting for 6th position. But in clear air is Ibrahim Badaway. 2.8 now off the lead of the race. As I said, could have gone to Formula 4, chose not to, decided to, oh dear, a bit too aggressive over those curbs. Especially with his size, actually, Ibrahim is quite a tall driver. And so he chose, with very little experience in motor racing generally, quite good karting, but in the Middle East, chose to come to Lamborghini. And it really has worked out for him. So we saw this last weekend, lots and lots of people getting their pit stop times wrong, and they get penalised by the amount of time that they were wrong. So it's not a massive penalty for Veruti and Piquet. Just 0.2 of a second they were under, and therefore that gets added to their time at the end of the race. At the moment, that wouldn't obviously do anything whatsoever, would it? Because they are 1.2 to the good over McIntosh, and Badaway is 2.6 back from that. Interestingly, now McIntosh is not being hassled. He has calmed down. His pace is better. Now Gabriel Rindone is on the tail of Dubelli for 4th position. We've seen Napoli now get ahead and up to 6th. So we do have a little battle for 4th. It won't last very long though, because Rindone is definitely the faster of those two. Eli Dubelli, as I say, fleeting appearances in Super Trofeo over the last couple of years. Not really a full campaign. Although, did have a full campaign this year, I should say. And was partnered, for the most part, with Karim Oj. But OJ not racing in Vallelunga, and therefore handed the car over to Roy Mehrhouse. Now, there's Jürgen Krebs. At the moment, happily and healthily in the lead of Lamborghini Cup. 5 cars between himself and Hernandez Ortega, who is second in class right now, but has the Privatellios starting to close in on them. Whilst we've got a bit of a quiet period in this race, let's go down to the pits with Dakota, and she has Glenn McGee out of the car.
I do have Glenn right here. Glenn, sadly, we've just seen you lost the lead.
Yeah.
The pace is okay in the car. It's a little bit slow. Do you think that you could get back the lead? Can you gain any more?
I don't know. We have my teammate McIntosh in the car. We both race in a series in the U.S. where we're used to fighting a lot, and he's very good at that. So I can see he defended very hard there, but the guy in the lead right now is very fast as well. I know he has a penalty, but it's not enough. But I think his pace is good right now. I think we were happy we wanted to come in here as guests and see what it was all about. Unfortunately, I'm not used to this whole procedure coming from the U.S., particularly being on pole here. So my warm-up was not so good on the tires, and you could tell the guys behind me knew what they were doing on the start, and I got jumped on the start. It seemed like they were ganging up on me there, but our pace was good. I had a bit of understeer because my warm-up was not correct. And once that went away, I could start to reel them in and attack. It's very hard to pass here, but they raced really clean, and I was obviously not happy with the start, but it's my first start here, and I was happy with the performance from there. I wish I could have, kept the lead and pulled out the lead and given my teammate some more room, but I'm happy where we are. And the car's amazing. The car's completely amazing, so it's been great.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure it's all a learning curve for the next race. Thank you very much. Good luck for the rest of the race.
It is a learning curve because they are racing this afternoon in the US races. So they'll then come back and do race 2 of Europe tomorrow morning. In the afternoon, do race 2 of USA. And they need to learn as much as possible. And the reason why they're doing both is to learn the circuit, the car, so that when they go into World Finals, they can actually fight and be a Lamborghini World Final champion. That's the plan. Ooh, Veruti getting a bit held up there by some traffic. I think that was the number 23. Yeah, it is. So that's Martelly. But Veruti losing a bit of time to the Leopard car that was just in the way. McIntosh throws his 85 through the S's. You can see that slightly aggressive style rotating the rear of the car. Not necessarily something you need to do through the S's. Gets on the flashers. None of that in Mazdas. Problem is, Martelly doesn't really seem like particularly interested in getting out of the way. Through Curva Grande, Glenn's kept his foot in it and should have the inside line here. Yes, he does. So that's another clear. Badaway is going to be the next one to try and get past. And Badaway now has 10 seconds back at Gabriel Rendone. But Rendone is, as I say, quite a long way back. Championship fighting-wise, that plays into the hands of Badaway even more. And Badaway a lot closer to McIntosh. I think we might see a change for second before the end of this race. We've got 7.5 minutes remaining. Onto the brakes. Whoa, Badaway gets a little bit squirrely. I do love that tight camera angle, but half the time you do wonder what's going on with the rear of the car when you're focused on the front. Especially when you get a chance to see what's going on with the steering wheel. You're like, hang on a second. There's a lot more fighting going on in the steering wheel than needs be. We've got onboard cameras, by the way. We're looking forward to seeing our onboard cameras later on today. There's a lot of understeer from Glenn McGee through Roma through the final turn. You could see the elbows out inside the cockpit. Oh, causing a collision. And that was a collision between himself and Martelet, or the 23 car. Don't know if that was Kieron Lee or Jean-Francois Bruno who had the collision, but either way, a penalty for JF. Part French, part American. So Veruti leads. 3.5 to the good. Oh, there's more traffic to contend with behind. That could cause real problems for Anthony McKintosh. As we watch nice and tight the lead of the race. Are we going to see a change for second? There's only 0.3 of a second between second and third position. Looks like Dubelli is also going to lose a position just in the back of shot there to Napoli. Here is McIntosh, and he is just about still ahead of Ibrahim Badaway. Horrible understeer. You could hear the Hankooks scrubbing over the surface through that final turn. They've managed to dispose of the back marker that was getting in their way. And for the moment, McIntosh holds on. But you can see how much faster Badaway has been over the last couple of laps. Half a second, then another half a second. Now he's in the slipstream. Now he's on the tail, under the gearbox, under the rear wing. And this is all good points for Badaway. If he can put a car between himself and Gabriel Rendone, then that creates more of a gap points-wise going into the final round tomorrow. Rendone sitting in 4th position, but 8.1 back from these two. Badaway to the inside. Very late move from the Egyptian, but he's managed to make it stick. That is lovely. I tell you what, Badaway's racecraft is just so very, very good. It has been all year when he's had to deal with faster cars as well in faster classes. Badaway moves himself up to 2nd position then, and McIntosh drops to 3rd. 4 minutes remaining. I would say McIntosh is set for a podium here. Rendone is going to be just too far back, 7.2 back. Then Dubelli in 5th. Interestingly, Dubelli is still ahead of Napoli in the battle for 5th position. But look how far back Badaway was here. Boom, down the inside. Absolute confidence. Bullies the American off the apex. And clear some traffic. And really, that battle is now done. So we should turn our attention to 5th, really. Dubelli and Napoli. Just 0.6 of a second between the two of them. I thought the actual pass had been done in the back of shot, but we didn't see it. As our leader. Another lap ticked off. They look like they could take victory over last weekend. In the end, 2nd on the 2nd race was all they could manage, Piquet and Veruti. But they're on course now to make it one better. Here's Dubelli and Napoli. One-time leader of the race, the number 18, now down in 5th position. And you get the feeling that Napoli is the faster of these two. Giovanni Napoli with a victory to their name in race 1 on Sunday. But that was with Giovanni starting. Today, their race 1, they've chosen Randazzo to start, which means Giovanni will start the second race of the weekend. Doesn't actually seem that bothered about trying to make a pass here. Absolutely locked together, but it doesn't feel as though Napoli's particularly attacking. Moves to the inside, just moving around in the mirrors, kind of would rather distract Eli Dubelli than actually make a proper legit move. We saw it work a few times over Sunday's race action. Round 5 of the championship, both races run on the Sunday. And we did see a few people be distracted off the circuit, let's say. In Lamborghini Cup, by the way, Krebs leading still by 4 cars and about 25 seconds to Hernandez, who is in second position, with Privitello all over the back of him. So there's a battle going on also in Lamborghini Cup. And remember, the Lamborghini Cup battle from race 2 was absolutely incredible when we were in race 2 of last round. We're on the last lap then. So any battles that need to be settled now. Piquet and Verruti then. What a year they've had generally in motorsport. So much driving, so many victories in class, moving into a new category with drivers that have had a year of experience. And it's taken them just 3 races to take victory. Piquet with a really strong first stint. Felt as though he pitted a little bit too early. Had to give Verruti some work to do. But in the end, he's been equal to Ibrahim Badaway's pursuit. Badaway is going to miss out on a 4th victory. He's had a victory in the second race here in Vallelunga, in the first race in Valencia before that, and in the first race of the Nürburgring. But it's Alban Verruti and Julien Piquet who, in their 3rd race in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, take the AM victory, with Ibrahim Badaway in 2nd position, and in their first appearance, Glenn McGee and Anthony McIntosh claim 3rd spot in AM. There is Rindone, not bad considering that's a brand new car. 4th position for them. And here comes Jürgen Krebs. Krebs with a massive advantage over the rest of the Lamborghini Cup drivers. And I think that's going to put Krebs into the pound seat for the championship. They're not going to win it on this race. Privitello's have moved up into 2nd in class. There's lots of changes going on in the last lap of the Lamborghini Cup, because Hernandez has dropped down to 4th in class, Privitello 2nd, Charlie Martin in 3rd, but it is Jürgen Krebs who takes victory for the 3rd time in 3 races here in Vallelunga. But the battle for 2nd is intense, and the battle for 2nd keeps the Privitellos in championship contention. They haven't taken the checkered flag yet. Charlie Martin is still a part of that battle. Privitello's now get the checkered flag for 2nd. Charlie Martin comes over the line in 3rd position. So now all of our positions are allocated for the podium. But there is Verruti. And there is Krebs, winner in Lamborghini Cup. Up to the championship lead. Remember Biglieri and Matic in the 32. They retired out of this race. They also did not qualify for race 2 either. So they didn't qualify for this one or the next race, which means they start at the back of the grid, which gives a huge advantage to Jürgen Krebs in that final round tomorrow to establish our champions. Nothing is done yet. Privatelio's getting themselves second on that last lap. Means that they stay within 5 points of Jürgen Krebs. And now Biglieri and Matic will be outside contenders. Interesting paddock here in Vallelunga. Our podium is actually in the middle of the circuit, overlooking the paddock rather than overlooking the racetrack. And so we bring our cars down pit lane and then into the paddock area where Parc Fermé is. And that is where we will be able to chat with the 2 Frenchmen that have just taken victory. And we might even get a chance to speak with Jürgen Krebs as well. Later on today, you have the 6th round of the Pro and Pro-Ams at 11:35 local time here in Vallelunga. And then it'll be USA round 1 at 1:40 local time. And then 3:50 for Asia. And I'm sure a couple of you are watching from America. It's quite late for you guys, but to support McIntosh and McGee. There is Ibrahim Badaway. Not a champion yet, but a little bit more of a comfort advantage over Rindone. It'll just be the 2 of them going into the final round tomorrow to establish the championship. I am happy.
Grande gara. Grande gara. Yes. Grande gara. Yes. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
The passion of the Italians and the passion of the Egyptians all in one there.
Non, mais à la fin, moi je lâche. Hein. Non, je sais, mais. À la fin, quand j'ai les écarts et tout, je suis plutôt tranquille. Hein. Le 45-0 à la fin, je le fais quasiment tout le temps, sans problème. Hein.
Veruti saying he could easily do 36 zeros without a problem.
The balance was good.
Yeah,
like
they both win.
I think what he said to get the car good at the end.
Yeah.
Like I say 4 laps in, the car was good, but I messed up the warm-up, so I got wheel spin on the start.
I had to leave you more pressure in the front tires on the grid as well. They were a little low. Yes,
But was that
Lots of debriefing going on down there in Parc Fermé. We also have Dakota down there waiting to chat to somebody. Probably Julien Piget and Alban Veruti will be her first targets as our winners. Right, let's go down and hear from them.
Yes, I'm here with the winners. Congratulations. It was a mega race. I mean, you had stunning pace throughout the race. Starting the race on quite cold tyres, it was quite difficult.
Yes, a pre-grid at 7:30 in the morning. It's not usual, but we love the morning. So very good start and very good race after Alban did an amazing job. Thank you to the team. And now we stay focused for the World Final.
Alban, you had quite a difficult job to pass McGee and McIntosh. And it took you quite a few laps to do so, but great to pass them. And once you were off, you were off.
I had to push a lot. He was doing some mistakes on the track because I was pushing behind him. But anyway, he did a mistake at the end of the straight line, and then I took this time to overtake him, and then we flew away. So it was, yeah, such a nice race.
Perfect job. Same tomorrow, right? Thank you.
Yeah, don't forget, there's another race tomorrow. Julien Piget saying we're focusing on the World Finals, but you've still got race 2 of round 6 to come, yeah? Of course, those guys not part of the championship. They haven't been with us all year in Super Trofeo. And so their focus actually really is world final victory. Can they take the AM Championship away from the likes of Badaway, who have been doing, or Rindone, who have been doing it all year? That will be the big question. That'll be the big frustration, I think, if they do so. Temperature a lot better than it was earlier on, and there is a provisional results then. Piget and Veruti beating Badaway by 2.3 seconds. McGee and McIntosh in their first race in third position. Rindone in fourth spot. Jürgen Krebs down in ninth, the best of the Lamborghini Cup cars. Privitello on his last lap, getting himself up into 14th, ahead of Charlie Martin, Jason Keats. What happened to Hernandez Ortega? He ended up a lap down. So I think there was a bit of a problem there for Hernandez Ortega. Biglieri and Matic not finishing, and that is a big, big hit for their championship. Cars you can hear behind are the Asian cars getting ready for their qualifying session. And I think we are going to get our podiums underway. Last year's Lamborghini Cup champions, Benoit Semoula and Francois Semoula. They were the champions in the World Finals. But in the championship, it was Gerard van der Horst who took the Lamborghini championship. In the AMs, it was Andrei Lewandowski, who obviously has moved up to Pro-Am. He was Pro-Am champion the year before. There is a podium then. Our top three in AM, and the French national anthem for Piget and Veruti.
Il est où, Jules?
That wasn't the French national anthem. It must be, what team are they entered under? Because it will be the team national anthem. Oh, it's a Swiss national anthem. Oh, lovely. The Americans getting their trophy. Of course, they're entered under an Italian team, hence why there's an Italian flag on the podium. Alban Veruti and Ibrahim Badaway picks up his trophy. No flag in his hand today. Marco Picci is the project manager to hand over the trophies. And that is our overall and AM podium. Four faces not so familiar to the podium this year, and one that is.
Il est où, Jules? Oh no. Good job, guys.
There's Martin Rieber in the middle of the shop there, boss of Brutal Fish. He's been here almost a week now and hasn't had a lot of running because Rieber's car was written off. Eduardo Liberati as well, we're having a look at. Those two teammates racing in Pro-Am later on today. On the last lap, Jason Keats and Charlie Martin moving up into third position. Hernandez Ortega was the car that disappeared. And the championship points then, Ibrahim Badaway leads Rindone by 4.5 points. Then Feligioni and Coupens now out of championship contention. Dubelli drops to 4th position. National anthem for Jürgen Krebs, the German national anthem for his team. He is a Swiss-German driver anyway. There's Charlie Martin and Jason Keats. They've got a documentary team following them this weekend. Quite sure for what. And there is the Privitellios, father and son. As per usual, coming to the fore at the very end, but there was no way they could chase down Krebs. Jürgen Krebs was on another level. So that does put Brutal Fish on the podium once more with Charlie Martin and Jason Keats. Some more trophies, and they can spray the champagne at themselves because they couldn't do this over the weekend because it would take all well, it would just make them smell for the second race. So Jürgen Krebs getting a soaking and moves very happily into a strong championship position, I reckon. Krebs, yeah, not a very strong position, 3.5 points over Privitellios. And Biglieri and Matic 8 points back, so it's still all to play for tomorrow in race 2. We take a little break then from racing action. Make sure you join us at 11:35 local time here in Valencia for race 1 of Europe Pro and Pro-Am, and then an afternoon of US and Asia action. Loads more to come here from Vallelunga. See you later.